but how that IT is provided might need to change. But that's distinct from the contract. The contract is providing IT. The details of how it's provided is a different issue. And thus I ask that everybody please reject this amendment so that the MDD can continue to operate tomorrow.
Mr. Osberger, please, everybody keep the time in mind.
Maybe we just need to suspend it. I think that's what Peter is trying to say. And ideally, if they really needed to do any kind of computerized services since their operation is so small, it could be done off of a flash drive. It could be transported to the finance department.
All right, are we ready to vote on Mr. Katzenberger's motion? Mr. Katzenberger.
I can I amend my own motion, or then it needs a second?
No, we're about to vote on your own motion.
Well, because there's no desire to shut down. No one wants to shut down MDD. I'm not sure if it would, but then I think we should perhaps I'll amend it to say that let's do the opposite. That the town has noted that shared services with IT may create potential problems, and that is an issue that will continue to provide it if that's the desire, but that'll be an issue that will be flagged and reviewed quickly. I want to make sure that we can carve that out. I mean, it's not a question of helping them with calling up and helping them with help ID, how to work this, how to do that. That's not the vulnerability. The vulnerability is the access to the system. The longer it's there, the more vulnerable it is. It's not unique to MDD.
Okay, we understand that. So what is your revision, your amended motion, your proposed amendment to your motion?
That if you look at page, I have it as 74, under optional, the town shall provide the following information services to MDD. I would add that the town specifically reserves the right to discontinue this with X date, to discontinue this depending on further review.
Point of clarification, Mayor. Page 74 references the previous agreement, not the agreement we're voting on.
Oh, where is it? It's
not referenced the way that you reference in the current agreement, Peter.
It's page 68. Thank you, Ben.
So what does your amendment say? What is the language of your amendment?
One thing, on 3, I would add either to the main clause, the town should provide the following information technology services to MDD, subject to the town's need to terminate this option after further review. I mean, I don't think it's as good as frankly taking it out, but I don't think anyone wants to wordsmith this now, because again,
you have to wordsmith a motion if you want us to adopt it, because we can't adopt something that doesn't have words. So give us the words.
I just gave words. The town should provide the following information technology services to the MDD. Provide the following information technology services to the MDD with the proviso or provision that the town reserves the right to terminate this service or aspects of it, to terminate portions of this service or as required or as necessary for IT security and insurance.
Sarah Ann, did you get that?
Still working on it.
Provide, subject to the provision that the town reserves the right to terminate this section or ask to terminate in full or in part. That's necessitated by the town's cybersecurity needs.
I'm sorry, is it possible to put this in the chat? I'm struggling to
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
Thank you. That would be wonderful.
All right,
Mayor, may I make a point of inquiry? There's a parliamentary inquiry.
Mr.
Is Peter technically withdrawing his original amendment and making a new amendment?
Yes.
Okay, so the second needs to be withdrawn. as
Yep.
well.
Can I ask some language? I mean, I know you're working on it now, but we say optional. Were we to say, subject to further review, the town may provide the following information technology services? Because it's optional to begin with, so may is implied by the word optional, but that subject to further review may get us where we want to go more simply.
I don't know if you have to take out optional anyway, regardless.
No, leave optional in there.
But there's optional in other sections too, whatever that
Yeah,
is.
yeah, and leave it, yeah.
We're getting awfully close to the question getting called, folks. Type those amendments.
I don't see anything showing up in the chat yet.
Well, I was thinking about Ron's idea.
Optional colon, subject to further review, the town may provide the following information technology services to the MDD.
Ron, do you want to put your language into the chat?
Yeah.
No, it's a typo. So, and we can take out this, we can take out the second terminate.
Peter, the chat's not part of the public record. Can you read it into the record?
Yeah. The town shall provide well, optional if you keep that in. The town shall provide the following information technology services to the MDD, MDD, with the provision that the town reserves the right to terminate in part or in whole these technology services dependent on the town's cybersecurity needs.
Has everybody seen this?
Slightly, I can retype it to add. There's a typo or two in there. Okay.
Yeah, if you want to retype it.
But it doesn't change.
All right, so this is Peter's motion. Is there a second to Peter's motion? Mr. Osberger seconds. Are we ready to vote on Peter's motion? Mr. Shaken.
I believe this language is fully covered by the 8th section of this contract on page 72, which allows both parties to, as needed, change the scope of services or the charges in this agreement. And I don't see any reason to call it out specifically in this language. We've had a several-hour debate. The Discovery Depot is going to be very plainly aware of the council's concerns and understanding that this may change. And I don't think this does anything but I don't think it does anything.
It has a better legal effect than it does. It's more specific. It will make it easier if we ever need to do this. Simply from a legal perspective, I think it's useful.
But Peter, do you think that that we're going to get sued by the Discovery Depot if we decide that we're not sufficiently secure and we cut off services? I mean, I don't think we need that kind of legal specificity.
Well, Tony, if that was the case, then we don't need an agreement with them at all. Barely. I mean, you put these things in. Yes, this is a big deal, which it may be. You
Right,
don't
are we-
sign agreements without having those kind of protections. I mean, that's why we have it. That's why
I
we can
understand.
vote.
I understand. Are we ready to vote on this motion? This is a motion to amend. Ms. Chain, would you call the roll, please?
Osberger,
Yes.
Berthelot,
No.
Bruder,
No.
Coleman,
Yes.
Fertoni,
Yes.
Kotchenberger,
Yes,
Moran,
No.
Shuren,
Yes.
Shaken. Was that? I didn't
was
get Shaken's
muted.
vote.
You're muted.
No,
Thank you. That's 5 in the affirmative, Mayor.
Okay, the motion is adopted. Mr. Coleman,
Well, I'm going to keep us all here a little bit, I guess. I would like to make an amendment to the motion as well.
go ahead, make your amendment.
Yeah, I would like to amend the term of the contract to the original contract term of 3 years, retroactive from July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2023.
You want to push it back farther than the proposed date already?
I'm asking for a 3-year contract term starting 2020 to 2023.
So we can't go back to a prior fiscal year that's already closed. We
I,
start with the fiscal year we're currently partially through.
you can't make the contract retroactive.
Wait,
Well, retroactive to a date like this fiscal year, like to July 1, 2020.
point of order. There's a motion that needs a second on the floor. If it's impossible to do, we'll vote no. Point of
Well-
order. There's a motion on the floor. The only thing that's proper before the council right now is a second to that motion, and then we can talk about it.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I understand. However, I don't understand the significance of the beginning date of this motion because the contract in front of us begins July 1st, 2021. Did you intend to change that date to a year prior to that?
If the contract is 2021, I would like to amend it for a 3-year contract out to 2024.
24. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Point of order.
Mr. Bruder.
Couldn't he just make the motion rather than an amendment because the motion hasn't been made to state the dates?
Yeah, he's right.
The motion is to accept, the motion that's on the agenda is to accept the contract before us, which has that date. So Mr. Coleman is moving to amend the termination date by 1 year. And Mr. Osberger has seconded. Now, Mr. Coleman, I believe we understand your concern. You've stated it earlier. Do you wish to speak further?
Yeah, it's just a financial concern with the rate of inflation. I just want to make sure that the town can increase its charges for its services to the MDD if so needed. I don't want to lock in financially for that period of time.
All right. Anybody else wish to speak on this motion? Mr. Shaken?
There's a great deal of time and work that goes into the staff side to do these calculations. It would be, I believe it would be financially inviable. In fact, we would lose money if we started requiring staff to redo this work every 3 years. I think this is a fine agreement as it sits, even as amended already, and I urge rejection.
Anybody else wish to speak to this? Ms. Chain, would you call the roll on Mr. Coleman's amendment?
Osberger,
Yes.
Berthelot,
No.
Bruder,
No.
Coleman,
Yes.
Fertoni,
Yes.
Kotchenberger.
no,
Was that a no, Mr. Kotchenberger?
Yes, it was a no, yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, no, sorry about that.
All right.
No.
Moran,
No.
Shuren,
No.
Shaken.
No.
Thank you.
The outcome, Ms. Jane?
Oh, sure. You have 3 in the affirmative and the rest in the negative.
All right, the motion fails. Mr. Bruder?
If I could, I'd like to make the motion that is presented to us in our packet.
It's already on the floor.
Already on the floor.
Oh, that's right.
Are we now ready to vote on the motion as amended by Mr. Katzenberger's amendment? Ms. Jane, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Osberger,
I'm abstaining.
Berthelot,
Yes.
Bruder,
Yes.
Coleman,
No.
Fertoni,
No.
Katzenberger,
Yes,
Moran,
Yes.
Shuren,
Yes.
Shaken.
Yes.
That's 6 in the affirmative, Mayor.
All right, the contract has been adopted. And we have learned a lot about a number of issues in the course of this discussion. That was the last item of business. On the agenda, we have the next item is reports of council committees. Does anybody have a report? Mr. Shuren.
Personnel matter earlier, as mentioned, we had a discussion, but no vote or recommendation regarding council minutes and council rules of procedure. We had a discussion and a preliminary stab at developing a charge for the Personnel Committee, which may be renamed the Personnel and Procedures Committee. That is ongoing. We're going to be reviewing that and working on it further in the coming meeting. We also had a discussion with no conclusion, waiting for staff reports on the Personnel Appeals Board, which appeals in our materials.
Thank you. Finance?
no,
No report.
no report.
Committee on Committees?
We did meet. We had a special meeting. We appointed folks who were in the consent agenda. I do point out that we are still very short on people on our Affordable Housing Committee. This is a super important committee. The work needs to get done. So please, if you know anybody who's looking for a terrific volunteer experience, that's going to mean a lot to the town, please ask them to get in touch with Sarah Ann to become a member of that committee.
Thank you. Any departmental or advisory committee reports? Petitions, requests, and communications. There's a number of communications regarding the condition of the road at Brookside Lane. Perhaps at some point, Mr. Aylesworth, you can report to us as part of your town manager's report. With that, any items for future agendas?
I want to speak to, I would like to speak to the issue over on Brookside Lane.
All right, go ahead.
I did a site visit there on Saturday, and I took some photographs I would like to share.
Can we wait and have this discussion at another time when Mr. Carrington is available?
Yeah, put it on a future agenda, Mayor.
Future agenda. Thank you. Thank you. It's almost 11, and I think that would be the appropriate way to do it. Now, Ms. Berthelot, you had your hand up.
Yes, for a future agenda, I've had the experience of driving by the middle school at 3:00 a few times in the last week. And I probably because of COVID, there are more parents dropping off. It's become a real safety risk. There are children darting in between cars, and there are cars passing on the left-hand side, moving very quickly, acting as distracted drivers. I'm afraid If we don't attend to that, we may end up with another very serious or fatal situation. So I'm hoping we could get that on a future agenda as a place that we need maybe police presence or some way of making sure it's a safe place at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Would that be an appropriate for the Board of Ed, or would that be a town council?
I don't know
Go
I
ahead,
was
Mr.
just gonna-
Edward.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think that solution to a problem like that would certainly require a degree of coordination between the two. So.
Okay,
The problem's on the road, which is why I thought maybe we should start the conversation.
perhaps we can ask Mr. Aylesworth to look into this so that we can decide, he can make a recommendation for where we're gonna go on it. Okay, Mr. Shaken.
Just as a future agenda, if we're gonna go do site visits and take pictures of every road that we get a complaint on, I request that we have Mr. Carrington come and provide us a comprehensive overview of the town's paving plans rather than answer each time we get a complaint from a citizen about a particular road in town. It might be a better way for us to make policy decisions that affect the whole town.
Thank you. Mr. Katchenberger, you guys,
I think-
don't, you
Oh,
have
you-
too much wind. It's getting too late. Come on,
Pardon?
Mr. Katchenberger.
I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say, I think Ben's point is a good one. And John did say last, I think, meeting or two, that there is a list and he'll make sure it's available on paving priorities. And that may not be 100% of what Ben is referring to, but at least it's a place to start. And I've had people ask that too. What about our road? So, no, the second thing I wanted to say was simply to thank everyone for their patience earlier tonight during the executive. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Coleman.
I'm going to continue to make site visits on a roads and address the citizens' concerns. So that's not going to change, Ben.
It doesn't have to take up space on every agenda, though, Brian.
All right.
If
That's-
there's a
wait,
communication-
Stop. All right, any further requests for future agenda items? All right, is there somebody gonna move to adjourn, Mr. Bruder?
Move to adjourn.
And seconded by Mr. Osberger. All right, thank you, everybody. Is anybody going to object to adjourning? All right, good night.